This segment of Westlake Live is sponsored by the Blue Buffalo Company Natural Veterinary Diet. SLA Video Productions presents from the beautiful Westlake Community Services Center in Westlake, Ohio. It's Westlake Live!
We're going to continue with some of the mistakes that people make for caring for their animals, which I think you kind of covered in a lot of that.
Especially medication.
Medication, yes. And then there's a lot of senior people who take on pets as companions, which is a good thing, both for them and at least the animal has a home. But at the same time, I know being around the animals myself a lot, because I do a lot of pet sitting, they are very emotional creatures.
Yes.
So you have to kind of be aware of their mental state as well as yours. Now, one thing that would concern me if a housebound pet, especially in a high-rise apartment, what can they do to get more exercise or movement?
Especially indoor cats. Indoor cats and obesity are like this. And by the way, 60% of our pets in this country are obese. 60%, I mean, that's huge. Indoor cats especially, and the problem with indoor cats is, you're right, they don't get enough exercise. They need to be on a weight-sparing diet. Okay, don't just feed less of their food, because then it's not nutritionally complete. They need to be on a weight loss or maintained on a weight loss diet, because we know that fat cats tend to have more urinary problems and just general joint problems too, if you will. The other thing with high rise, you've got to be very careful they don't push that screen and fall out. And that happens in New York City a lot, by the way.
Okay.
But with pets, yeah, they've got to be walked. And the other thing is, if you're going to get a breed that where you live in a high-rise apartment, you don't want to get, say, a border collie. A border collie is a working dog. They need to work, or you're going to come home and your woodwork will be destroyed, okay? Because you need to get that energy out of them. Pretty much smaller breed dogs, like Cavalier King Charles, that kind of thing, are great in more confined areas.
I've had in my lifetime known a couple people where an animal will just show up at their door, a stray, because I have friends that a cat just kept coming on their front porch, or somebody else, a dog showed up, and they just seem to know what house to pick, because they just seem to know, these people look like they're good animal people. But what is your advice if you're considering taking a stray in?
Right. Well, first get the microchip reader. Make sure they don't belong to someone else. And what's sad is some of those people don't want those dogs back. They just let them out. And I was telling one of your staff this morning, the beagle breed is the most found pet, mostly because they follow their nose, and when that dog don't hunt anymore, they just let it go. And I have several clients that have 3 and 4 beagles. They didn't pick one of them. They all found them. They do beagle rescue. So first of all, have them microchip. Secondly, get them to the vet and get them updated on their vaccines, because you don't know, have they been exposed to rabies? Bats and skunks and foxes carry rabies in Ohio. So they've got to get vaccinated right away. And then once you vaccinate and buy that license for that dog is yours legally. So you ask around the neighborhood first, make sure, call the local police department. Has anyone reported a dog lost? Have the microchip reader, and after that, it's yours. My first thing, anytime I get a new rescue, I do a physical exam on it and I get blood work on it right away, because I need to know, what do I have here? Is this, even though it's a young dog, is it in kidney failure?
You need a baseline, pretty much.
Baseline is great. And can you have cancer and have normal blood work? Absolutely. But it's all we got, okay? So at least you're ruling out liver and kidney and thyroid issues by doing that.
Okay. Now, this is an unpleasant topic, but what happens if you suspect somebody is abusing or neglecting their animal? You have a neighbor that, I had a funny story that I read in a newspaper about a woman who noticed that this dog was always being left outside in the cold, and it was blizzarding one day, and it was a larger dog, so she took one of her parkas, an old parka, and put it on the dog. And she said when the owners came home, that dog was never left outside again.
Unfortunately, the state of Ohio ranks very low as far as laws against animal abuse. Thank goodness we have Goddard's Law, which is a start. We can improve on that. But there's a recent law that just went through for veterinarians. If we suspect animal abuse in a dog or cat that we're seeing, and we don't report it, then we're against the law. So whether they prosecute that person is up to them, but we have to report it now. In the state of Ohio, a dog has to have food, water, and shelter. That's it. Golden Treasures, a Golden Retriever Rescue Group I work with, just rescued 17 dogs from Harrison County. They were in a pen probably 6 feet by 10 feet. 2 pregnant females. Yes, they had food, they had water, and this was, remember, a few weeks ago when it was horribly hot, they had no roof over them. So they're in the blazing sun. So the neighbors called because the owners were in South Carolina building a house, left the dogs for several days at a time.
Oh, gee.
And we now have all those 17 dogs plus the 13 pups from 2 females. That case went to court, and we now have those dogs. Those dogs were taken from those people.
Wow.
So, yeah. The first person to report it to would be the police and the dog warden. Yeah.
Okay, that's.
But remember, if they have shelter, even if they're chained up, and water and food, that's all that's required. The dog warden will come out and say, "I'm sorry, but that's it."
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a dog lover, that would be disturbing to me.
Yeah, we need work on that in the state of Ohio.
This segment has been brought to you by the Blue Buffalo Company Natural Veterinary Diet. Love them like family, feed them like family.
Thank you for watching Westlake Live Outside. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also support our sponsors. Thank you.